And just in case you didn't know, her hair is a glory unto her. Greetings everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. Today, look, we're getting right into this trending half braided or half mohawk, half quick weave or sew in. But this time it's going to be a bob and red. It's giving y'all. Alright, so let's get straight into it. So I'm starting off by, of course, parting off the area that I need to be the braids and separating that from the area that's going to be for the weave side. And at the front of the head, you want to make sure your part is off to the side, okay? So part your leave out off to the side versus in the middle. You'll see as I get in the back, then I curve the part over to bring it down to the middle. But at the front portion of the hair, as you can see here, I made it more of a side part. And I see a lot of stylists, seems like they struggle with this part. Please make sure that your part is not in the middle, okay? You don't want it straight down the middle, just off to the side a bit in the front. And then as you go towards the back, you can part it in the middle. So now moving on, once I section those two areas off, I'm just going to start by braiding the braids. And I do this with the client's natural hair. I don't add any braiding hair, but sometimes you do need a little bit of something depending on the clients. And with her, I did. We didn't have any braiding hair, so I had to end up improvising and cutting some hair from off the tracks or cutting the wefts off and using some of the track, pieces of hair to add in to, help me as I braid, okay? So sometimes some clients need a little bit extra help depending on their edges or, like I said, their hair texture. So you can go in with a little bit of hair, okay? You don't want to add too much because you want your braids to remain sleek and neat, all right? If you add too much hair, it can create a bulky braid. So also, a lot of clients are doing this style with leave out. All right, so meaning once I get to the end of the braid, the hair will be left out. So you want to consider that with adding braiding hair because you'll have to flat iron the leave out. And of course, you can't put heat to braiding hair without it melting. Okay, so for the back portion of her braids, I'm going to braid it into the quick weave portion, if that makes sense. So the leave out part will only be in the top where I parted out. And towards the back, I'm going to braid that in. You'll see once I get to that part. But I'm just braiding along here, as you can see, and I'm coming up with my own design as I go. She told me to just freestyle it. So I just had an idea to do, like some crisscross braids and just curving and swerving it, just kind of going with the flow until I get it to my likings. And there's no set way to do this part, y'all, okay? This is the fun part. You can do whatever you choose or whatever the client requested, of course, if they have an inspiration picture. But if not, if you're freestyling, just go with the flow, okay? However you want to design them, part them, whatever size, you can get really creative with this part. And I am using my neat braid gel to help me clean up my parts and to smooth out each section of the hair or each part that I part before I begin to braid it, okay? And as always, you want to take your time when you're styling hair. Never rush through your client because that can end in not so good results. If you want to have a good outcome, I suggest that you take your time, go over your parts over and over and over again until you get them to perfection. And again, don't add too much hair in the braid to keep the braids nice and sleek. Alright, so I got my first few set of braids as you can see here. Alright, so I'm finished up on those first few braids and I just continue to go in braiding according to the flow. Alright, and if anybody haven't noticed yet, y'all see my fingers are turning red, okay? That's one thing about fresh color, y'all. Look, so now I'm going to have red fingernails because she freshly colored her hair and the color transfers, but it's okay. It's a sacrifice you have to take some time when it comes to styling. Alright? And I didn't focus too much on putting stitches in this style. I just wanted some nice, sleek, neat braids, okay? A nice, very nice, cute design. That's all I was going for. But it's at your own discretion. If you want to add stitches in, by all means, take your time and go ahead and throw those stitches in there. It can definitely elevate the style. But again, we wasn't going for that necessarily. So I just went in with the basic braid design. And y'all, look how excited she is. Y'all see it? Look at her movements. She's telling her friend, look, she already clocking it. Okay, so y'all can see the style ain't even done yet, and she already excited. So that made me excited. Yes, hype me up. But I'm getting up closer towards the top, and I continue that same thing using that neat braid gel. I just smooth out my braids on each side, and I'm just braiding on with the design, going with the flow of the client's head. So here I'm going to show y'all how I did the crisscross braid. So you want to start off with a braid that looks like it's going to be just a straight back braid, okay? And then you're going to do another braid that's looking like a straight back braid. But instead of braiding them straight back, you're going to stop halfway through both of the braids, okay? Is this making sense? I hope so. So you stop halfway, and as you can see right there, once you get halfway, you're going to take the braid from one side and cross it over and continue to braid on the other side, okay? And don't worry if you didn't get it just then. Take your time and take the video back. Watch it as many times as needed until you really get the hang of things. Alright, and as you can see here, I took that other end, and that would have been going straight back, but instead I'm going to curve it across that previous braid I just did, and I'm going to just continue to braid on onto the other section that I had parted out. Now, I really hope this makes sense, and again, take the video back as many times as needed. Another thing I want you all to notice is how I just smooth out the braids. So you want to take care of your braids as you're braiding, okay? So if you see any flyaways, any extra jam, or anything that needs to be tweaked or just touched up on, make sure you go and do it as you're braiding. So just taking that neat braid gel, I'm just adding it to each section of my braid section, and I'm going to take the comb to smooth that out. And y'all, I did it for every last one of these braids just so I could get a neat and sleek result. And when you're starting off your braids, you want to keep in mind to start off with the smallest section possible, okay? So the first 3 strands that you start off with needs to be very small and close to the beginning of the braid, okay? This helps keeps everything nice and tight, and it keeps your braid from buckling at the front when you go to add other braids. Alright, yay, we finally done with the braiding portion of the style. And as you can see, all the cornrows were added into the quick weave section of the head. So I just put about 7 or 8 big braids going straight down, and I use my drop and pin method. If you've been on this channel a while, you'll know that's when you add the last tail end of the braid into the next braid that you're braiding, okay? Overall, you just want to get everything down nice and flat. I did add some gel, some got to be spray, and a cap on her head, and I use my blow dryer to help dry and set everything, okay? You want it to be hard. And once that's done, I'm just going to take the tracks and we're gluing them on using our regular blonde glue. She did color this hair herself, so that was already done to match her natural hair. And I'm just taking the track, I would say from ear to ear, but it's not going, of course, all the way to the ear. But you want to go from side to side, covering the entire quick weave portion of the style, okay? And you work your way all the way up until you get to the top of the head. And you'll see here, I started to take those tracks and I'm going to layer it right at the top of her head. So instead of going from side to side, you'll see it's going to turn it into like a horseshoe shape. Alright, and you want to continue that all the way up until you get it about, I would say about an inch apart. And then I'm going to start adding my wefts straight up. As you can see here, we're going to add them straight up. And y'all, I ain't say nothing about this blonde hair. She bought it and she wanted to add some blonde streaks in there. So I just took little pieces of the blonde and I added it right on top in the bang area. Okay, I really focused on that bang area because we wanted just a pop of color. We didn't want too much in there, not all over, but just enough that you can see it right in the front. So as you can see, I just added some glue and I'm taking the tracks and now I'm beginning to lay it straight across from side to side until I covered up the entire section. Then I unbraided my leave out and I just combed that right on top, okay? So you want to cut any extra excess cap that you may have had on. And y'all, let me just add, because I had a lot of people commenting on my last video about you didn't add a cap on her head. Y'all, I've been doing this for years and I can rest to tell you, if you have a good gel and they got to be spray, it will protect your hair from the glue. I continue to spray layers and I dry it with my blow dryer until it sets hard, okay? Sets hard, I mean it gets hard. Every time you spray a layer, it's creating a layer, okay? It's creating a barrier from the client's hair. So yes, if you don't have a cap, you can use a gel. Okay, you can use a gel or a spray, a holding spray to create a barrier, and it protects your hair from the glue. My daughter didn't have any trouble removing the hair from her head, okay? So, as you can see here, we're just going in now and just straightening out the bundles so we can get it prepared to be cut into the bob. And I did use a slick stick. I rub it in my hand, and I like to just rub it all over the hair as I'm flat ironing it. Now, moving on to the leave out section, you just want to take very small portions of the client's hair and flat iron it to blend it in with the weave, okay? And I say small sections because it gives you a better press when you do smaller sections, okay? Sometimes if the section is too big, the hair won't press as straight. Y'all, check her out. She was running so much on that flat iron, y'all. They don't play, but okay, now I'm going in and I'm doing the baby hair. Of course, I'm going to curl them because, you know, they want them dramatic, so I'm just doing that. And I'm going to use the Got To Be spray and, of course, my handy dandy edge booster to create her dramatic, somewhat dramatic edges. And here's a tip for stylists and clients: when your client run from the flat irons, just let them know, look, you're making matters a lot worse by all that moving and jumping. Just relax and it's going to be okay, all right? You have less chances of being burnt if you relax. All right, so now once I got that all flat ironed and pressed out, I'm just going in with my scissors and we're going to cut this hair into a bob. We didn't want it too short, so I tried to keep it about shoulder length, and I took my time taking that hair off because once you cut it off, you can't get it back, okay? So just take your time when it comes to cutting any type of hair in general. So you want to work your way up very slowly with the cut, and you want to take your time, okay? All right, take your time so that you can get good results. And again, I always say this, don't ever beat yourself up when it comes to this styling thing. I know sometimes things can get complicated. You can have challenges here and there, but you have to be encouraged, all right? And you have to keep at it, all right? Practice makes you better. Because who became master overnight? You have to keep doing it over and over again, and you're going to get better. So once I finish with flat ironing and the bob portion of the style, I'm just moving on. I'm going to go in and put the finishing touches on the baby hair. So, of course, as I mentioned before, I'm using my edge booster, okay? That's my go-to edge control at the moment. It has a really nice hold, and I'm just just going to add it right at the base of her edges, right? I don't want to put it all over the hairs because I'm going for kind of fluffy. And I'm using my comb and finger both together to help me mold those baby hairs. And y'all, just look at the client. When I say she was already just feeling herself, y'all. So look, here are the final results. Yeah, this is how it came out. Super cute. I was super excited to do this style in the bob form because we did do it in a longer version. So the bob was super fun to do. Plus, she popped it out with some color. So that just brought everything together, y'all. To me, it came out super cute once again, but I think I almost say that about all the styles. But yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed the results. I like that pop of blonde that we put in there. Just everything about it. And y'all, this was like a back-to-school hairstyle, so she was ready to go. Look at her. Just all type of videos making and just in the mirror, like just feeling herself. So I hope you all were able to get some type of information or inspiration from this video. Please consider subscribing so that you won't miss what's coming next. Bless you for watching.